Welcome to Blue Collar Sports Talk. Let's talk sports. Hey everybody, welcome to a Blue Collar Sports Talk, April the 13th video edition. Exciting, right? I wanted to talk today about some of the things that have happened in the last few months. To start with boxing. If you witnessed the Tyson Fury bout with the former UFC champ, where Fury was probably the most out of shape I've ever seen him, he got stunned by a hard-punching former UFC champ in Francis Ngannou. Yeah, Ngannou dropped Fury to the canvas and stunned the world. The most stunned was probably Fury himself. If you watched the bout, you probably, maybe disagree with Fury being awarded the win on points. But also, I bring that up because that beating Fury took subsequently led to his next bout being pushed back to allow for a cut above Fury's eye to heal. Now, Ngannou's next fight was not as stellar. I'm guessing Anthony Joshua made sure and watched that fight and studied it and was able to knock out Ngannou in the second round. All of that recap was to briefly mention Fury's next fight, which is against Alexander Usyk. This is going to happen May 18th in Saudi Arabia. The way fights are going, it's pay-per-view. I'm not a fan, but that's what it is. TNT Sports Box Office pay-per-view, Sky Sports Box Office pay-per-view, and DAZN pay-per-view. This is a huge fight for both Fury and Usyk. Now, Usyk currently holds the IBF, WBA, and WBO belts, while Fury holds the WBC belt. And Usyk has made the move up in weight class. Fury thinks that this will be to his advantage. If Fury trains and prepares like he did for Ngannou, Usyk will destroy him. I will give Fury props in the promotion game. He's kind of like Deion Sanders. He gives the press a great show in any interview and is never shy to talk smack. Fury recently said he could beat Usyk without training and coming in weighing 25 stone. I personally had to research that one. I found out 25 stone is exactly 350 pounds. Fury then went on to say he could down 15 pints of beer and still beat Usyk. Big words from a fighter who had to push the fight back to let the cut above his eye heal. And again, his side of the story is he got that fight from sparring. Well, either he got it from Ngannou or from sparring. I say the cut came from Ngannou, and Fury's team used sparring to cover up how much Ngannou hurt him. Either way, the press leading up to the bout and the actual match between Fury and Usyk May 18th will be fun to watch. College football. So many things are going to change in the upcoming season. I can't wait personally for the 12-team college football playoff. Last year, we saw the saga unfold all season long with Michigan sign stealing, firing of a staffer, Michigan eventually winning the national title game, and then Jim Harbaugh running away to the NFL, specifically to the Chargers. I personally feel Michigan would have had its best matchup with Georgia, and that's why I can't wait for the 12-team playoff system. I feel Harbaugh ran to the NFL to avoid NCAA penalties from that sign-stealing saga. So it will be interesting to see if the NCAA does anything to Michigan in this upcoming season, and it will be exciting to see if Harbaugh has the same success with the Chargers as he did with the 49ers. Now, in recent months, we also saw Trev Alberts leave UNL as athletic director. He found a new office in Texas as the new athletic director for Texas A&M. I know Matt Rule had only the greatest things to say about Trev Albert in a press conference during the start of spring football practices for UNL. I do. I hope Trev all the best. I also hope Nebraska's new AD, Troy Dannon, continues to build great athletics programs throughout all of UNL's sports. My concern is with new athletic directors, there is usually a new coach hired and coach fired. At this time, I hope none of our current coaches are shown the door. I think Fred Hoiberg is doing a great job as the men's basketball coach in the nil era, where it's so tough to keep and retain students. Just look what Calipari did at Kentucky. Look what Nick Saban did at Alabama. And then nil started, and, well, Saban retired, and Calipari went to a different school. So there's just so many things that can happen in college athletics. And with a new AD, there is usually some turnover in coaching staffs. I want to switch gears now. I want to talk the NBA. Here we are at the last few games of the season. The East has its top team, its top seed in the Celtics, and the Bucks, Knicks, and Cavs still need to wait for the last games to be played for their final playoff seed. Now the West has a fight on its hands between Denver, OKC, and Minnesota. All three are vying for top dog in the West. As it sits right now, after a Denver loss last night to the Spurs, an OKC Thunder win over the Bucks, and a Minnesota Timberwolves win over the Atlanta Hawks, all three teams are tied. Yes, they're all tied. All three. Thunder, Nuggets, and Timberwolves are currently tied. Now, had the Nuggets won just one more of its games in the last few weeks prior, they could have locked that number one seed down. But now the three Sunday matchups of Dallas and OKC, Phoenix and Minnesota, and Denver and Memphis, those three games are huge for determining the top seed in the West. But also, will there be another team like last year's Lakers to have a deep run into the playoffs? Maybe it happens in the East. Maybe a team like the Hawks will make a deep run into the playoffs like they did a few years ago. Or will it be the Warriors? Why the Warriors? Well, the Warriors have won 9 out of their last 10 games. Sure. The play-in teams have a longer playoff road to the title game. But some may say that playing in more games allows your team to stay in rhythm. Now, the other side of that is you're going to be exhausted if you take this series to 7 games. All that said, I do have a feeling that this year the Nuggets have the best shot at another title. They do. They have a strong chance to repeat. In the games I've watched of the Nuggets, their defense is stout. They have one of the top 10 defenses and one of the top 5 offenses in the NBA. Stat-wise, the best defensive team in the NBA is the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves have the top-rated defense, and the Boston Celtics, well, they're number 2 in team defense. But you know what? Those ratings don't mean anything when it actually comes down to playtime. Why? Well, the Nuggets beat the Celtics in both of their games this year. Jokic was able to push around Horford and Porzingis. But the Nuggets have to get to that title game first. I say this because the road to the title game in the West won't be easy. In the 4 games the Nuggets played the Timberwolves this year, each team won 2. So they split that 4-game series. Now with Karl Anthony Towns back, this Timberwolves team is tough. Oh, and so is OKC and the Clippers and the Mavericks. Yeah, I feel I could mention every team in the West that has qualified for the playoffs and the play-in games to make a deep run in the playoffs this year. Just had to check my audio. All right, with that, I will say I want to wish everyone the best of luck in the playoffs, and I can't wait for the playoffs to start. This is going to be a fun playoffs. Now, if you watch on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe. And if you listen on Spotify, please follow. Thanks, and go watch some sports.